Space is our future. I think most of us can say that without second-guessing ourselves. I know I can. But the thing is, we haven't gone to the moon in 45 years, and we haven't broke Earth's low orbit as a species since. Now, this argument isn't about if the moon landing was fake or not, but if we haven't given our space program enough cash to innovate to the point of going back to the moon, and if we're even investing in the right space program. More on that later. The last time we were on the moon, we had just reached the epilogue of the space race, and NASA had received a little more than $3 billion, about 1.5% of the federal budget. Since then, NASA has never received more of the budget than that. Today, NASA is receiving under $19 billion, only 0.5% of the federal budget. All of this is according to NASA themselves. That might sound like a lot, but with inflation, the $3 billion is actually worth more than the $19 billion NASA has today. So we found what might be our problem. NASA isn't getting enough money to innovate. And if you think NASA's services aren't necessary or useful, think again. Space exploration has helped to make improved solar panels, implantable heart monitors, light-based anti-cancer therapy, cordless tools, lightweight high-temperature alloys used in jet engine turbines, cameras found in today's cell phones, compact water purification systems, global search and rescue systems, and biomedical technologies. And that is directly from NASA. Now, before I go on to a few solutions to how we can get NASA the funds it needs, I need to address the counter-argument. We should fix the things here on Earth before throwing our money into space. Well, I agree with this, with all the climate change happening, poverty and homelessness, and the fact that we know more about the moon than we do our own ocean. Almost all of these can be fixed through the exploration of space. We could generate more green energy through solar panels in space and then distribute them to Earth via solar power satellite, and that's from the Department of Energy. We could actually explore the ocean better from air than we can through the ground, and though this might be a long shot, we could create homes on Mars and offer to move people there for a small amount of money. We'd have to go a little bit farther in our technology, but I think there might be a way to do this. Anyway, back to space. Right now, most of us know that NASA and other space companies are trying to find a way to get humans to Mars. They're working on new transportation capabilities and long-term operations in confined spacecraft shelters. That's also from NASA. Now, the other big player in space right now is the company SpaceX, and they're a big player. You've probably heard of Falcon 9, the first spaceship to land vertically successfully, which is a huge deal, as now we can save the rockets that we send up into space. This is just another example of the benefits of space exploration. But I didn't bring up SpaceX to brag about all their accomplishments, but because SpaceX and other private organizations might be our best way to Mars and beyond. Remember when I mentioned that we might not be investing in the right space program? I just explained how space exploration is necessary, and now I'm going into why NASA is the wrong place to invest our small sum of the federal budget. According to SpaceX, they're planning on launching their trip to the Red Planet in 2023. NASA is planning on 2030. So, you might be wondering how. How is SpaceX somehow beating NASA at their own game? How is NASA, which is 44 years older than SpaceX, somehow losing the second space race? I was frankly asking these same questions, and in my search for answers, I found that SpaceX is worth $12 billion and gets funded about $1 billion a year. Compare that to NASA, which gets $19 billion a year in funding, and each flight costs more than SpaceX's budget, a whopping $1.6 billion per flight. SpaceX's most expensive launch last year was only $36.7 million. And here's where I got confused. Somehow, NASA, the government-funded program, was making more expensive spacecraft and not remaking that money from the spacecraft. And the spacecraft doesn't seem to be innovating as much as SpaceX is. So now we have another problem. NASA is brutally inefficient. SpaceX is outclassing them with less budget, less media, and less launches. I'm not sure if this is government corruption or just bad science and money, but either way, I think it's time to stop shining the limelight on NASA and move it to SpaceX, the obviously more superior company. And not only that, we should switch our funding from NASA to SpaceX, as obviously NASA has not been as productive as scientists at SpaceX. So, now you might be wondering, wow, is there any way I can support SpaceX and its highly beneficial services that totally outclass NASA? And while this video isn't sponsored by anyone, you could support SpaceX by buying any of these products on screen. If you want to get me a birthday present, that water bottle looks pretty sick, so yeah. Remember to tell everyone you know that space exploration is vital for the increase of our technology and that we shouldn't be funding NASA anymore. We should fund SpaceX, as they are the superior company in efficiency and innovation. And I know everyone has been thinking about this. The link to Mars One is literally www.mars-1.com. If you want to go to Mars, watch that website for updates. Thank you for listening.